Welcome back to another episode of the ALG podcast. If you're listening to this on the day of drop, then happy Friday to you. Guys, really quick at the top of the show, we have a brand new sponsor nowadays. That's right. Nuts and More is proud to present the ALG podcast. You can save by using promo code JARPSJourney10 at checkout. That's nutsandmore.com. Checkout code is JARPSJourney10. David, it's been a while. We have not been as consistent as we have been.
Yeah. But perfection's a myth, boys and girls. Perfection's a myth. Be consistent, and no matter what happens, you fall off, you get back on. We learn from mistakes. We were in a flow when I think Sundays. We got to get in the habit of more Sundays. I know, obviously, with so much going on with your wedding and everything else, Sundays get the best of us. But it's like we used to crank out 2 episodes on Sundays, so we were always ahead, and it was like, It
was really great. It was really nice. We will get back to that schedule. It's just a matter of time, because like David said, I'm super busy, he's super busy. But regardless of that fact, we are here today, and that's all that matters. So, David, why don't you set us off and get us going?
Yeah, so topic of discussion that this episode's going to be about is like the mental hurdles you have to get through for long-term sustainability. I mean, if you haven't listened to this podcast enough, we hammer that almost more than anything, which is like just the idea of keto versus paleo versus carnivore versus vegan versus macros versus calorie counting versus Mediterranean versus weight loss surgery versus Atkins versus steroids versus fasting versus holy balls. There's a lot of diets out there. My God. And the whole point of that is we're not against any individual plan. No. We argue that the mindset and how you go into it plays almost more of an important process than the choice you make in weight loss strategy itself. And so, John, I talked to John. I was like, let's do some like the mental barriers that you have to get through in order to create not just weight loss. Because again, there's a lot of people that lose hundreds of pounds, and it's fantastic. The question is how many last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And so that's something that's not so celebrated, right? Because it's not as sexy to talk about. Oh, I lost 100 pounds and maintained it for 10 years. Well, how long did it take you to lose 100 pounds? 4 years. It took you 4 years to lose 100 pounds? You're just not as committed as you could be, man. You could be more disciplined. I've sustained it for 10 years. Suck it.
Yeah.
And so that's an extremely important part of this process. So, John, crack us off here. What do you think is one of the biggest mental hurdles in long-term sustainability when it comes to weight loss?
Well, first and foremost, I think at the forefront is knowing that eventually you are going to stop losing weight, and knowing that you have to accept that fact, which is very daunting for a lot of people. You have to remember, like, you're on this journey. You put yourself in that mindset. You're coasting for a really long time. You're doing the thing. You kind of develop this identity within yourself of, I'm the weight loss guy. I'm the weight loss girl. Like, this is who I am. And then one day you're going to stop. Like, it's inevitable. There's there's 3 directions you could go. You could keep losing, which eventually that ends. You can stay the same. Right, yeah, and you die. Like, malnutrition, rib cage showing, you're dead. You could stay the same, which maintain your optimal weight, and a lot of people don't want to hear this, the only other way to go is up again. So really, like, having that conversation with inner self and, like, knowing that eventually, hey, this train is going to stop moving as quickly as it's been. What are you going to do at that point? Like, that's a really hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. Like, especially if you're coming from a place where, like, you were 300 pounds, 400 pounds, 500 pounds. Like, you get caught up in this identity of grind time all the time. Gotta lose weight, gotta lose weight, gotta lose weight. And yeah, like, it stops.
Oh, 100%. I think people fall in love with the idea of weight loss more than the process of transforming their life. And like, I'm transforming my life. You're not the weight loss guy. You can't be the weight loss guy forever because you'll die eventually. Or you you believe you're the weight loss guy, then you gain all the weight back so you can lose the weight again because you have your identity in being the weight loss guy. And like, that's not good. I think that's that's a massively important thing, because people can fall in love with the idea of weight loss and weight loss itself, and not like, hey, I'm doing this for health and happiness. I'm doing this to transform my life. And you can get really caught up in that dogma of like, all right, weight loss.
Absolutely. I mean, watching that number go down becomes like a drug, you know, like you get addicted to that feeling. You get addicted to that successful like accomplishment. But people need to realize like maintaining and being in a maintenance weight is a huge accomplishment within itself. But like you said at the top of the podcast, it's not sexy, you know, like there's no Instagram page that's like, I'm the maintenance guy. Let me show you how to maintain. Like, that's not hot. Like, it's not cute, but it's important.
100%. Like, and I love, personally, I'm an avid, because there's actually good scientific data out there of what's called like diet breaks along your journey, where it's like, say you're losing 100, 150, 200 pounds, every 30, 40, 50 pounds, you intentionally don't lose weight for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks to understand what maintenance looks like and understand what maintenance feels like. Give yourself a break, maintain your current body weight, and then drop again. I think that there's actually some really good data behind it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so like that's a huge one. I think for me, one of the biggest mental hurdles is the true decision you're changing your fucking life. Like, I do this on the pod. I talk about my TikTok lives all the time. I'm like, guys, before we even talk about calories, before we talk about macros, before we talk about anything involving nutrition or fitness, you unequivocally have to make a decision that the way you treat food right now, the way you eat, the way you move, and the way you treat yourself will never come back. Yes. Because you know what this is like. You know what it takes to be 300, 400, 500 pounds. And you actually have to just say to yourself and just demand yourself to like, I'm never going back. I don't know what necessary strategy of calories and macros and intermittent fasting, or I like this strategy, I like this way. We don't even go into that, because until you actually shut the door on your past and say, I'm changing, you're half in, half out, and that doesn't work long term. You're trapped between two different worlds, and you truly have to make the decision, I'm changing my world. That's one of the number one mental shifts for me, is like, that's why, like, I don't know about you, John, like, I'm never going back. Like, being 400 pounds again is impossible. It truly is impossible, because like I know what it takes to be that way. And I know I'll never treat my body and my mind and my nutrition like that ever again. And so, like, guess what? I don't have to worry about going back, because I know what it takes to get there, and I will never do that again. So that's the biggest mental hurdle and shift for me for sustainability, is saying you're done with your past. Like, I'm done with it.
I think another big one is kind of learning and redeveloping this sense of fun with food again. Like, people think that just because you're on a weight loss journey, that you can never enjoy food again. And for a long time, you know, I had that mindset as well before guys, with time comes knowledge, with knowledge comes experience, and yada, yada, yada. But like, before I really got into the meat and potatoes of all of it, like, I really thought like I would never enjoy the things that I like ever again. Maybe, you know, it definitely not in the quantity that I was enjoying these things, but that's not to say that like I'm gonna call a spade right now. I have leftover chicken wings in my refrigerator. Before I hopped up on this podcast, I had 2 chicken wings and half a protein bar. That's just what it is, because I'm not gonna eat again until like 11 o'clock tonight after we do this podcast and do the community call. So it is what it is, but like, you can go to birthday parties and enjoy yourself. You can have a piece of cake. You can have these things. It's knowing that you can have them and knowing that you can't have them on a consistent everyday basis.
100%.
You know, that's the difference.
Oh, I made a TikTok of this, of like, I don't know, some bro that's always on there, like, big beard, 6-pack abs, telling you all the life you eat for purely to fuel your body, blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, don't ever eat a cookie or something. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to have a cookie, and I'm going to keep it with my calories, and I'm going to eat that cookie right before I work out, so that cookie is going to go towards my glycogen, and my glycogen is going to be utilized to burn for my fitness. And guess what? That cookie directly helped me with my workout. So shut your whore mouth and stop talking shit about my cookies.
Absolutely. Don't talk about my cookies.
Don't you talk shit about my cookies. Now, I will admit, don't eat 12 cookies in a sitting.
Right. Again, time and place. Learning what you can and can't do. But if you want to have 2 cookies, like, hey, you can have 2 cookies. It's not the end of the world. You're not going to reverse everything that you did for however long you've been on this journey by having 2 fucking Oreos or 2 Chips Ahoy cookies.
Yep.
Do they have Chips Ahoy in fucking Michigan? I don't know.
There are Chips Ahoy in Michigan. I wouldn't say I'm more like Chips. All your generic cookie choices, I'm not a huge fan of. I like true like bakery cookies. So I'd rather go to like a bakery or like a grocery store bakery and get like their cookies.
See, you lost me when you said like supermarket bakery. See, I go to real bakeries.
Well,
because I'm in New York and we have real pastry shops. And...
Well, we have pastry shops too. I'm just saying, just the concept of like I'm just saying Chips Ahoy would not be my first indulgence choice.
Absolutely not.
If I'm going to eat a cookie, it's going to be a fucking good cookie. It's like, if I'm eating a piece of cake, it's going to be a damn good piece of cake.
Actually, I lied. I'm not really, before, we are going to go on a 2-second tangent here. I'm not a big, like, packaged cookie guy. I'm not a big packaged dessert guy. Like, when I'm out to dinner and they're like, oh, does anyone want dessert? I will probably never raise my hand. It's just... I'd rather have savory than sweet. If you catch me eating candy, if you catch me eating cookies or something like that, I'm probably drunk. Probably.
I respect it. I respect it. All right, John. Next one for you. What's
I just gave one. You have to give one.
All right, for my turn. You talk about. I think it's extremely important. Is like indulgences and this idea of perfection. It just doesn't work. And it's not necessary. I think people don't understand the difference between you can and is it needed. Obviously, if you cut out all of the sugar and all the cake and all the pop, you're more than likely in a massive caloric deficit, so you're going to see great progress. And that is true.
Right.
Is it necessary? No, it's not necessary. You can find ways to hit your indulgences without being in a caloric surplus and still make progress. Will that progress be a little slower? Probably, because you're eating a little more calorie and you're doing certain things. But doesn't mean you can't do it. That's super important. I think another huge hurdle kind of goes inside with that. And I think we've talked about different podcast episodes, but again, simplicity is key, and most important things you got to hit. Don't create an identity and nutrition plan. Like learn to adjust. Yeah. Learn to adjust as needed. If you go to a doctor's appointment and they say your cholesterol's through the roof, guess what? You got to get off keto. Yeah. What do you want me to tell you? You got to drop that fat, baby. Your cholesterol's through the roof. Your doctor's telling you, I'm sorry, your blood work looks like garbage. Yeah, you've lost 100 pounds. I need you to switch it up. And but if you create your identity in keto, it makes it that much harder. And so I think it's super important to empower yourself if you're trying to live a healthy and happy life. And you can do that in a keto way. Is it necessary? No. Can you enjoy it and like doing it? Yes. Same thing with vegetarian, vegan, any program under the sun. You got to be able to adjust with what life gives you. And so, like, be careful if you used intermittent fasting as a tool to condense your calories, which is fine. It's something I do. But, like, if I'm out with friends and family and we're getting breakfast, it's okay to have
breakfast.
Have breakfast from time to time. Like, it's not going to destroy you. And trying to find that balance. And I think it goes into what we talked about a couple episodes ago, where it's like when you've lost an extreme amount of weight, it does this. Like, you go, so here's 400-pound David, and then it's this way. So then you go way down to 210-pound David. And then you slowly come up a little bit because you indulge, and then you come back. You're like, oh, God, too far. And then over time, those sequences are less and less weight. So you may have like you lose 200 pounds, and then you gain 30 back, and then you drop the 30, and then you gain 15 back, and then you drop the 15, and you gain 5 back, and then you slowly over time get better and better at like refining your nutrition. And I think the same way where it comes to like trying to find that balance within food is like as you lose the weight, trying to engage your ability to bring back some of your favorite foods and find ways to not fear them for the rest of your life. I know like everyone wants to fear, like for example, John, with you with pizza or whatever it is. It's like me with video games, to be honest. I have such a nasty association that if I play a bunch of video games, I'm gonna become fat again. Because like that's what I think of a lot with my weight loss is like, oh my gosh, I played so many fucking video games, and so like now I stay away from video games, and like it's like, all right, it's okay to play some video games from time to time. You're not gonna fall off the friggin' bandwagon. Don't play for 7 hours straight, but
Right.
But the same thing. It's like whatever your indulgence meals was, I would challenge you to try to find that. Don't be so rigid on it. Like find ways to bring it back in healthier means that you don't have to say fear cheesecake for the rest of your fucking life. Like,
Right.
I don't know what your indulgence is, but like try not to fear it for the rest of your damn life.
Absolutely. No, for real. Because like you start developing that fear with certain foods, and it'll fuck you up for a really long time. You know, even just simply saying the fear of carbs.
Yep.
Like a lot of us have lived in that headspace for quite a while, or maybe a short while. But like you need to get out on the other side of that, because that's where real fitness goals will be achieved, when you stop fearing carbs and you realize you need them to grow, when you need them for energy. There's so many good things about carbs. It's just we have been brainwashed as a society for years and years that carbs are bad. Carbs are bad. You can't have carbs. You got to cut your carbs. And is there a fine line of to like what's good and what's bad? Sure. But like there's finding balance, and there's finding what works for you, and seeing the cause and effect of how much you intake something and what it does to your body. But another one would be not overcomplicating the process.
True.
And what I mean by that is not only your diet plan, but your workout plan as well. Like
Simple.
I get hit up so much when, if I throw up a question box on Instagram, it's always like, hey, I'm just starting my weight loss journey. What should I be doing in the gym? What should I be doing? X, Y, and Z. And guys, like, it's as simple as just walking. Starting off with 30 minutes a day.
100%.
Just walking more than you are right now. Adding in that extra movement. You don't have to join a CrossFit gym. You don't need to become a bodybuilder. You don't need to go run a Tough Mudder or a Spartan race. Like, just walk. Get outside, take in some fresh air, or, get on a treadmill if you have one, ride a fucking bike, whatever the case may be. Adding in just a little bit more than what you're already doing is going to put you in a way better direction than not doing anything at all, or just waiting until somebody gives you an answer. You know what I mean? Because what worked for me might not work for you, might not work for the next guy, but the thing that's always going to work is walking, is riding a bike. You know?
Oh, 100%. And it's like, and I was about to make a community, the ALG community, like, I feel like everyone's starting to buy their own equipment for home. Have you seen the Facebook, like, someone who's got a Precor, like, elliptical, and a couple other people in the community have been getting, like, home gym stuff. It's just kind of funny to see. But no, 100% I agree with that. It's like, oh my gosh, simplicity is key. Like, anyone who tries to make things complicated, I love the Einstein quote, which is, if you can't explain something simply, you don't truly understand it. It's like it's like how do you put on lean muscle mass? You safely push muscles towards its failure that they're forced to grow. That's it.
Yep.
That's all you're doing. Whatever strategy is that, push-ups, calisthenics, strength, barbells, dumbbells, cables, flies, whatever the fuck you're doing. All you're doing, if you try to put on lean muscle mass, is safely push muscles towards failure that they're forced to grow. That's it. That's it.
You want to know what my favorite Einstein quote is?
What?
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know if this was Einstein too, which was, if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it'll go its whole life thinking it's stupid.
Yeah, I think that was Einstein.
Whoever said it, I still think it's super important because so many people get caught up in like, oh my gosh, I'm not good at said thing, which means I must be bad at everything. And it's like, stop it.
That's a quote that they use a lot for like school.
Yeah.
Like for like students and going to college and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
I've read that quote.
I would, but at the same time, school basically is one box, but that's a whole...
Yeah, right, absolutely. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But back to the insanity thing, like, that's another thing. If what you're doing for a long period of time is not working,
switch it up.
Doing it. Switch up the game. Find something else. Like, oh, and you don't have to hate working out. Mm-hmm. Like,
it doesn't have to be grueling.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't have to be grueling.
Gosh.
It doesn't have to be torturous. Like, at one point in time, I will say this: I hated cardio.
It sucked.
You know, like I hated cardio, dude. My friends would literally, and I've said this on podcasts before, my friends would not hang out with me if I didn't go to the gym, or if I went to the gym and I didn't do cardio after a lift session, they would not hang out with me afterwards because that's how much I put off doing cardio. Like, but now, because of just like life and like, again, learning and growing and becoming a better person to thyself, I wake up every morning and I do 12 miles on the bike, you know, and I look forward to it. Because not because of the fitness results that it gives me, but because of the mental results that it gives me. It gives me so much clarity towards the rest of my day, and it puts me in so much of a better mood. Like something as simple as just riding a bike for 45 minutes in my basement with no one else around, scrolling on my phone, gives me so much positivity in my life that on the days that I don't do it, I notice that I'm a little bit more irritable.
100%. I mean, that goes into there's a whole science behind that. But I agree where it's like trying to find whatever simple, consistent things. It's like, shout out to Will. I mean, he just has step goals. Like, it's just fucking simple. Like, he has a step goal of 10,000 a day. I know.
Oh, you do? Okay, because I
wasn't on the
I know
call.
something you know more. I know something you don't know.
I know. I wasn't on the call last week, and come to find out, Will missed the first time hitting 10,000 steps in what, like 3 years?
3 years.
5 years or some shit?
But you know what? And hopefully Will listens to this episode. Hats off to Will because
took it well.
the response that he gave afterward and like how good he felt, even though like he didn't hit the goal, and he was just like, I realize how much of life that I'm missing by constantly trying to hit this step goal every day. I was like, holy fuck. Yeah, I was like, this is all it took.
100%. That's the whole idea of like creating an ego around some specific like thing. It's like, oh, I have to do it. It's like, okay, well, you're doing it, and I get it. But like, there's a balance between doing something because it's good for you and all this kind of stuff, and like an egotistical. And obviously, Will, if you're listening to this, I'm not saying you're that, but like, it's just that story. People like, well, I have to run 10,000 or 10 miles a day. I have to. I don't care what happens. I have to. So it's like my dad dies, and instead of going to the funeral, I got to run my 10 miles. Yeah. It's like, oh, stop. Like, live fucking life a little bit. It's like, it goes back to the whole thing of like, eat a fucking cookie. It's not going to be any. But I want to go full circle with that conversation about like building somewhat of balance within reason, because it's so funny that the weight loss community, whether that, I'm just going to say in general, like, I'm not going to say it from a weight loss surgery perspective, like community, or just, it's just a weight loss fitness community in general. They're so toxic towards any type of indulgence. And like, any indulgence is bad. You made the post on your Instagram a few months ago where like, fearing individual foods, or you made some statement like where, and then some guy messaged in your comment section going, way to be a good leader. You're knocking people off their path because you're telling them it's okay to eat a cookie or whatever it was. And then you're like, bro, I haven't eaten pizza in 5 years because of this exact fear. And I'm even telling myself that it's unnecessary.
Right, that was more to me than it was to my followers.
And then, but again, like, people are like, whoa. He's telling people to eat fucking pizza every day. I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to stop with this idea that eating a slice of pizza is going to just make you be 400 pounds again.
Right, because it wasn't one slice of pizza that made you 400 pounds in the first place. It was a lot of slices of pizza.
Slice
Many
slices or
of pizza.
pies?
Yeah, pies.
Many pies.
Pizzerias.
I personally kept 3 pizzerias in business.
Yo, you have no idea.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
You owe one. I kinda gave 2 back there. You owe that. You definitely owe 1 right now.
That's funny. All right, one more piece, and we'll wrap this bad boy up. We'll keep it short,
Let's
sweet,
do
and
it.
simple. What do you got?
No, it's you. I literally
I just did the full circle and talk. Fine, you rascal. All right. One other big mental shift. I mean, obviously, I'm massive with making the decision you're changing your fucking life. Sustainability is super important. I would say law of association. I think it's gosh, who you surround yourself with most is who you become. And,
yeah.
And does it mean you have to cut out all your family and all your friends and all this kind of stuff? No. Mm-hmm. Would I highly, highly, highly recommend building a secondary community around you that supports your goals and aspirations, that holds you accountable and moves you in the right direction? I would highly recommend it, because that population is going to, hopefully respectfully, but the same idea of like pushing you to be your best self and accountable to you as much as possible.
Excuse me.
Where it's like, I think that's what I love about the ALG community too, where it's like we balance it pretty well, where obviously we're about support, we're about helping people, all that kind of stuff, but at the same time we've had hard conversations with people where it's like, hey, you need to step the fuck up, like you're better than this. And absolutely. I know you need to whine, but this whining is going to last about 3 minutes, and then we're figuring out a strategy to get you back on the right track, because at the end of the day, you can whine all you want, it doesn't help you. And so, like, I would highly recommend for long-term success, you find that group that will help you stay accountable, because if all you do is surround yourself with the same people that coddled you in the first place, if you're not holding yourself accountable, you start falling apart. And so, like, I'm not all about external motivation and whatever, but I think it plays a role, because I'm blessed. There's no question I have some friends in my life that they talk shit when I'm not on my game. Like, they're willing to have hard conversations with me. Absolutely. And I appreciate that. I don't always like it, but I appreciate it. And so I think it's super important to find that circle for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, so I want to dive in just a little deeper on this part too. Like, there is a quote, and it's like something along the lines of, if you hang out with 5 broke people, you're bound to be the 6th broke person.
Yep.
Like, you are who you hang around, and the reason why the support system is so good, it's like your friends, your everyday life friends, they know you. And you have things in common with those people. That's why you're friends with them. But you're not going to have everything in common with them. Especially if, like, you were the one who was never into fitness before, and then all of a sudden now you're, like, changing your life, and you're into fitness, and you go to the gym 3 to 4 days a week. Like, so some of your friends are not going to, like, hop on that bandwagon with you because you want to do it. So finding a support system with like-minded people with like-minded goals is, like, so important, because not only will they support you, they'll keep you on your shit. And I know I'm kind of just regurgitating what David just said, but that's because it's so important. Mm-hmm. Like, you are who you hang out with, and there's no other way to, like, describe it. So yeah, find that system, find the people that are gonna keep it real with you, and by keep it real with you, just not make it sunshine and rainbows, but be like, hey John, you're fucking up. Like, you're better than that. You know that you're better than that. Stop doing whatever it is that you're doing, and buck up and be a man about it. Put your chin up, drop down and give me 20. All right, soldier. And
that's such a fun.
That's what I gotta say about that. There was something that I wanted to say. Oh, David, I may be off by a couple of days, or I may be early. Who knows? But I think it's ALG's birthday.
Is it?
It's July.
Oh, shit.
Now, technically we signed LLC papers in March, but the first ALG podcast, I believe,
was July.
Was in July.
That wouldn't surprise me. It'd be 2 years.
Is it 2 years or 3 years?
2.
2. No, 3.
3?
3.
That's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, because we signed paperwork right before the lockdown. Because I was going to fly to Michigan, and then they were like,
you're right. So,
no.
Because COVID always fucks shit up, because you're like, timing is
Yeah,
always
there's a
so
whole
weird.
year that doesn't
There's
exist.
a whole year that didn't exist. You know, you're right.
Yeah.
So we just hit 3.
Congratulations. Happy birthday.
That's terrifying.
That is fucking crazy.
And we should go through old videos, podcast episodes, and be like, oh, wow, this is where we started. This is where we're at now.
So if you watch episode 1 of this podcast, like, we should definitely make an episode on this and, like, regurgitate the last 3 years. But if you go back and you watch episode 1 of the ALG podcast, you will see how frightened we were to do this podcast. Okay?
Yeah.
I had no podcast experience. Well, I had no hosting a podcast experience. I had been on podcasts before. But, like, we were just like, all right, cool. We've both been on podcasts before. We're going to plug in a computer. We're going to fucking plug in the mic.
We're going to do it on Zoom.
We're going to do it on Zoom, and then we just stared at each other. And we were just like, now what do we do?
That's funny. Oh, my gosh. I will admit, though, the first couple episodes cranked out quick just because you have so many ideas early on, and then you start going like, fuck, we've talked about so much now for 2.5, 3 years. It's like, oh, balls. We gotta come up with new ideas. And
yeah, man.
So,
it's been a monumental 3-year
wild
relationship that we've had,
and we still have yet to meet.
And we still have yet to meet, and we have the same birthday.
We have the same birthday. We've never physically been in the same place at the same time.
We will in October.
We will in October, and I'll be in freaking peak week, so
You'll
I'll be
in
half
peak
there.
week.
No, I'll be fine. I'm not worried about it.
You'll be fine.
You're gonna try to get
Everything's
me drunk. Oh, I was talking to Kenny. Kenny was talking to me, and he's like, "Are you gonna get drunk?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Come on, you gotta get drunk." I'm like, "I'm gonna be in peak week, man. Like, it's not gonna fucking happen." Is John mad that you're not gonna be drunk? I'm like, "No, John will understand."
I don't care. I don't give a fuck.
It's too funny. I actually have a wedding this weekend too. It's so. Yeah, it's the.
But you're not in like crazy prep yet.
Moderate, like 2,100 calories a day currently, 240 protein, 240 protein, 110 carb, and like 50 fat.
Yeah, but you could still have some fun with it. Yeah,
I still adjust around. I mean, I'm never gonna be crazy, like only eat tilapia, only eat one certain thing. I'm just doing off of macros and whole food. Am I choosing specific foods based upon certain things? No. I'll drop my calories. I'll continue to drop my calories right now. Currently, I'm 233. I'm 233.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm 233 and 17.5% body fat ish. 18%.
I got like
body
13 pounds on you right now.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be relatively like prep, like stage ready 2 weeks out is my goal. And my goal is to be 205. So I got about 30 pounds to go in the next 12 weeks.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, I got time.
I lost 50 pounds in like 16 weeks.
Yeah. I'm trying, but again, I'm trying to be absolutely boarded. So like, my goal is to get to sub 10. So, and then a buddy of mine said, "Yo, you be absolutely peeled at 195," and I'm like, "Fuck, I don't know if I'm getting
How tall
195." 6'1".
Yeah, no.
If I got to 195, holy balls.
The minute you step off stage and you eat one thing, you're going to gain 57 pounds.
I know. Well, that's the other thing, too, is I was talking to a good friend of mine, Cody, we had in the call, Cody Durovich.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You better reverse diet. Like,
well, that's the whole thing.
Seriously. Yeah.
And I'm really trying to do this process slower and more consistent, that I can keep my body fat in like the 14% realm. Because I tend to let my body fat creep up into like the 20 realm. And I want to try to build stability around 14. So I'm not just washboard abs, but like I want to keep a little more definition. And so like trying to be a little more consistent and simple and reverse diet better, so I don't do that, is going to be the goal after this show. So
yeah, I'm in an interesting place right now. Coming off of back surgery, obviously I had weight that I needed to drop, just because obviously post surgery you just put on weight. It happens.
Yep.
And then, like, I should be shredding for the wedding and stuff, but, like, now that, like, my back doesn't hurt and, like, I'm lifting again, like, full swing, and, like, I'm doing legs for, like, the first time in 3 years and, like, doing serious legs now, I'm growing like a son of a bitch. Like, I put on so much muscle that, like, I don't want to stop right now and I don't want to cut.
It's such a balance.
And it's fucked.
You hyper focus.
So fucked.
I literally, where did I just talk about this? I can't remember where, but it was like, if you you got to have so many frames of reference for tracking progress, because if you just hyper focus on one, you can miss out on so much on losing. Like, for example, people who lose a significant amount of weight and then all of a sudden they hyper focus on strength.
Yeah.
And I understand, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm getting stronger. My deadlift, my squat, my bench, everything's going through the roof. This is fucking awesome. 305, let's keep going. And then you look on the you don't step on the scale for a while, and it's like, holy shit, I just put on 40 pounds or 50 pounds.
Absolutely.
And like, you're like, oh, and of that 50 pounds, 41 pounds of it is fat and 9 pounds is muscle.
Okay, well, that's not the case with me.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying that catches a lot of people. If you don't keep if you don't keep some frame of reference on body fat percentage or whatever, you can get caught in the obsession of strength, and you can get caught in the overeating for the sake of strength, and you can get caught. Not everyone does. But, like, you can.
No, my stuff is still very tailored and very, like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm
always on prep.
I'm a groomsman this weekend, and it's a rental tux, and I'm just like, and I had to do it over the internet, and, like, I gave my measurements. I just don't know if this is going to fucking work. I'm like.
So that's really funny you say that. So, like, the wedding that I have in August is a rental tux, and I had to give my measurements over the phone.
Yeah.
And I've yet to put on the suit. I don't even know the tux. I yet to even know what it looks like, and I'm so scared.
It's not going to fit. I just know that because again, like I'm a
weird shaped boy anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a bitch. I go full circle. I go from always having to go to DXL and hating that to then being able to go to fit in normal clothes because I was just basically a string bean, whatever, because I didn't do a lot of strength training.
Right.
And now I have a 48 chest and a 36 waist. So 48 chest, 36 waist, that's fucking massive.
Hold on. I'm going to give you my current measurements.
What are you?
Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I still have it on my phone because I literally just sent it.
I'm a 48 slim tall is like ideal for a, but again, I'm almost in the custom. Like custom suits is the only place I can go now because my waist to chest ratio is just so significant. And so, like, now it's like, I already know this, let's just put it this way. I know this suit that I'm going to be standing in is not going to be ideal.
All right. So my current stats.
Yeah. What's your chest?
Is 46 and a half.
I'm a 48.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And I have a bird chest.
I know. I have a barrel chest too. I have a 48 chest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, I have like a barrely
I do
chest.
too.
That's crazy. You have asthma? No, you don't have asthma. You just have a barrel chest.
Wow. A barrel chest.
You. Does your chest come to a point at the bottom? No, mine literally comes to like an arrowhead at the bottom. It's the weirdest thing.
Well, it's like your sternum and the but no, I don't have that.
I am currently now. This is not accurate. This is not accurate only because I just put on a pair of pants that's way smaller than this. But it says that I'm a 42 waist, but I just put on a pair of 36 jeans like not even 2 days ago, so I really don't care about that. But whatever. 47 in the hips. Shirt size is 17 and a half. That's my neck, 17 and a half. 36, 37 sleeve. Yeah, I'm a weird shaped man.
I got caught too because I have a long torso and short legs. I have just long everything. So I have the torso of someone who's like 6'3", 6'4", and I have the legs of someone who's 5'9". So it makes me 6'1".
That's fucking weird.
So like for example, it was super weird back in the day. I used to be a 42 with a 32-inch inseam or something like that, and it was just super weird to find because it's just weird to have that big of a waist and those small legs. And now I'm a 36. I can't remember what my inseam is. But it's just goofy, and I'm pushing a 34. I'm not 34 yet. I'm 36.
Yeah. So you have a big chest like me. So buying dress shirts, buying fitted shirts is a bitch because it's like your chest is just a chest, and then the rest of your body is like kind of slender.
Yep.
So the shirt fits like a smock still. So you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think it's between it's just because I my big shoulders with the barrel chest and everything together. It's just a bitch. But hey,
yeah, no, it's a cunt.
All right, it is what it is.
All right. Anyway, we went off on a tangent there. If you listen to this podcast to the end, I appreciate you. Guys, you can save by going to you can save on nutsandmore.com by using promo code JARPSJourney10. That's JARPS Journey 10. Guys, you can join the Accountable Life Group Facebook page by clicking the link in the bio. It'll be in the description of this video. You can... That's really it. That's all I'm going to talk about right now. Join the ALG community. That's what you need to do. If you do one thing after listening to this podcast, it's going on Facebook and joining the ALG community page on Facebook. Other than that, link in the bio. Other than that, have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you're listening to this during the day, if you're listening to this at night, good night. Stay beautiful, stay sexy, stay accountable.
Toodles.
Bye-bye.